Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a first impressions video for you on a Spyderco that I have been waiting for a long time. Okay, since this knife was first announced. I can't remember for sure whether it was in the Spyderco catalog for 2018. I'm pretty sure it was, or at least in the mid-year release guide, whether it was at Blade Show. I know I've seen a couple of videos about it and I've seen it in the catalog a couple of times and I've commented over and over. Okay, so I'd love to have you guys, I left the name out of the video title so that you could guess what knife I'm talking about here and have a little bit of fun with it. But let me tell you the other part of this story, okay? All of you guys and a number of others who I know within the community knew that I was pretty stoked about this knife, okay? So I got some messages and I got some warnings on Instagram and Facebook and other places, and even a couple of reviewers who weren't in love with this knife, kind of warning me that perhaps I would be disappointed in this hotly anticipated Spyderco. And that got me a little bit worried. In fact, it put me off to the point that I didn't even rush to buy this knife when it first came out. Okay. By the way, when I did buy it, I got it from Justin over at White Mountain Knives, and you should go over there and use my discount code SHARPSTUFF. You'll get 10% off. So anyway, I did finally get one. And I have to say, I was really worried. I opened this box with a certain amount of trepidation because I was thinking to myself, man, I remember how excited I was about the sliver axe and then how disappointed I was when I actually got it in hand. And I hope this is not a similar experience, okay? And the other thing I'd love to hear in the comments down below, let me know about a knife that you were really, really excited about, and then when you finally got it, you were way underwhelmed. You were really disappointed. Now, let me get this box out of the way. Hopefully you guys have guessed by now, we're talking about the Spyderco Amalgam. This is a Brian Lai design. Can you imagine? This guy's name is Brian Lai. If you put him and Brian Tai side by side at Blade Show, everyone would be completely confused about where to go or who they were talking to. Anyway, so Brian Lai design, built by Spyderco. It's a Taichung Spyderco, so very, very refined knife. Let me give you a quick rundown of the features. Okay, so we've got flat ground S30V blade up here. All right, really nice flat spine, really good jimping. Spider hole, as you would expect. I like the fact that, I really like the Spydercos where the spider hole is kind of in line with the knife. Over here we have a compression lock, everyone's favorite Spyderco lock, with a flipper tab. And like some have said, the flipper tab, as the knife closes, does come back through that spot where your finger is. And I've only had this for, I don't know, an hour maybe. I will say it's pretty addictive, so I've been flipping it a lot. And, whoops, when I'm not on camera, I can pretty easily time it so that the blade misses my finger and I can pull it out of the way. And honestly, even if you just let the flipper tab hit you and then close the knife, it's not that big of a deal. So anyway, flipper tab, compression lock, laminate carbon fiber scales that Spyderco likes to do on their Taichung models. Really nicely nested liners, stainless steel liners there, standoff construction, tubed lanyard hole there, very small lanyard hole. I don't know if 550 would fit through there, or if it did, you'd probably have to like use a guideline to get it through. Okay, and movable clip. That was the last thing I was going to mention there. Sorry about that. Four-way repositionable clip. The other thing that I should say about this is a big knife, and this is, one of the things that I often feel like is missing from Spyderco's lineup, but this one is nice and big at 8 7/8 inches overall. So 8 7/8 inches is the overall size, 3 3/4 inches on the blade, 5 1/8 on the handle. That's the closed length. Okay. Less than 7/16. So this is just a little over 3/8 of an inch thick. All right, really, really nice slim knife, and it weighs in at only 4.3 ounces, which for a knife of this size to come in at 4.3 ounces is a huge win. You can carry this and have a very substantial folder with you, and yet you don't even notice it in pocket. Price point on this guy is $175, which is perhaps a little steep, but keep in mind it's a Taichung Spyderco with carbon fiber and bearings. And, honestly, a Benchmade Crooked River costs that much, and I would easily compare this to a Crooked River. In fact, we'll have to maybe do a full video comparison on these two. Okay, now let me give you my overall thoughts, and let me qualify this by saying maybe maybe I'm as excited as I am because you guys kind of, had me worried and had put me off this knife. I don't know, maybe it was a big conspiracy. Let's convince Kevin that the Amalgam is going to suck. But for whatever reason, a number of you had sort of had me thinking, I don't know about this Amalgam. Maybe it's really bad. Maybe it's not. Maybe, I'm going to be really disappointed. So when I opened it up for the first time and I flipped it open, I was like, hey, wait, that detent is not all that awful. I mean, it's not the snappiest detent I've ever had, but it's more than functional. In fact, it's rather enjoyable. The compression lock is pretty easy to access. Yeah, the flipper tab does hit you in the finger. It spidey flicks well. It opens with the thumb well, either quickly, you can flick it open, or you can nicely roll it open. So in fact, in some ways, I think they've got the detent really nicely dialed in because every deployment mechanism works really, really well. It feels really good in hand. Okay, the blade stock is really nice. A knife of this size, you want substantial blade stock. And I was a little worried that this would be overly thin, but it's not overly thin at all. It actually carries a bit of extra heft out to the tip, which is going to make this a little tougher. The grind here at the tip almost reminds me a little of a Rat Model 1. So, what are my initial impressions on this knife? I am totally blown away. This is maybe my favorite Spyderco. Now, obviously, we're still in that honeymoon stage, and so I'm not going to make that, any kind of a definitive statement yet. But, guys, I really like this. The flipper tab coming through doesn't really bother me that much, and when I get this knife in hand, it feels so good, either in the choked up position or in the handle position, that, yeah, guys, I am super excited about this knife. I don't know, maybe something will totally change before the review comes, so stick around for that. But I have to say, at this point, I am super impressed. All right, so there you go, guys. That's my first impression on the Spyderco Amalgam. It is pretty well everything that I was hoping it would be, despite the fact that a number of you warned me that I wasn't going to like it. Okay, so there you go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.